Browns 33-31 winners here in Baltimore. And Mary Kay, they are now even with the Ravens in the loss column. They are right in the thick of the AFC North race. And we've got to start with the $230 million man, the Browns quarterback. He led a touchdown drive at the end and then the game-winning field goal drive. And after a rough start, I mean, this is why you pay a guy that much money. This is why you give up those draft picks to go get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I really do think it was the signature game for Deshaun Watson that everybody was looking for. We talked about it heading in. I know I wrote about that heading in, that this was the kind of game that they went out and they got him for. $230 million, like you mentioned, 3 first-round picks to come into Baltimore and beat the 7-2 Ravens. And not only did he do it, he went into the locker room before halftime, had a gimpy ankle, walked out with a boot after the game, but went out there and had an amazing second half, 14 for 14, got a 16-yard run on that field goal drive at the end, and he was sensational, and he's a major reason why they won this game.
Ashley, it couldn't have started worse for him, and it couldn't have ended better.
Right. I mean, the beginning was reminiscent of that start in Pittsburgh where he threw a pick six on the very first play. And I know Deshaun Watson, when he talked, actually brought that up, that he referenced that play to offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt real time while he was here. But I do think, even what Mary Kay was talking about, like Greg Newsome even brought that up today, right? Like, this is why he makes the money that he makes, to succeed in these kind of situations. So I think there's a sigh of relief from everybody that when the stakes were this high, he went out there and looked like, 2020 Deshaun Watson.
Now, let's also give some love to another guy who almost cost them the game with a missed extra point, but then turned around and hit a game-winning field goal. Dustin Hopkins, Mary Kay. Obviously, this is a guy the Browns targeted. They made the trade for him before roster cutdown day instead of taking their chances and trying to sign him in free agency. And Dustin Hopkins has done nothing but come through. And for him to do that after missing that extra point, it just says something about him.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski was kind of funny after the game because when asked about Deshaun, he said, that's why we got him. And then about Hopkins, that's why we got him. And this is exactly why you have him and not Cade York out there, because this guy can go out and kick that game-winning field goal for you with ice in his veins after that miss, which was, I can just imagine what Brownstown was like when that happened. But they pulled it together, and they finished this big game.
Yeah, I can't say what David Njoku said about him. It was basically what Mary Kay just said. He's got ice in his veins, Ashley.
Yeah, just an expletive in the front of it, and understandably so. I think it was funny to kind of get reactions from guys throughout the locker room, but I think the common thread was everyone had confidence that he was going to be able to rectify that miss from earlier in the afternoon. And I also thought it was kind of funny. A bunch of defensive guys were like, we still couldn't bring ourselves to watch that. Obo Okoronkwo, I thought, was the funniest. He's like, I just turned around, I looked at the stands because I knew if the stands were sad, then I was going to be happy. So I loved how they all kind of experienced it in their own way, too.
And look, let's talk about that defense, because they, sort of like Deshaun Watson, they certainly had their down moments in this game, but they made plays when they needed to. They got the ball back for that game-winning drive, but most importantly, Mary Kay, Greg Newsome finally nabbing that elusive first career interception, returning it for a touchdown. Had that extra point been made, it would have tied the game, but just a huge moment for Greg, who really didn't even know until Saturday if he was going to play in this game.
That's right. He could not have picked a better time for his first career interception, his first pick six. That was amazing for him. As you mentioned, didn't even know if he was going to be able to play in this football game, and he came up huge. And that's what you need from your first-round picks, from your stars in their biggest moments. They have to shine. And this team, I think, is really starting to show an amazing amount of heart and grit, and it's getting interesting.
And Ashley, Greg even mentioned to us, I don't know if he would have been on a pitch count today, but if he was, that went out the window when Denzel Ward got hurt. They needed him even more.
Yeah, he did say he was actually had a pitch count today, he said. And then when Denzel went down, he knew he had to step up. And I think you just saw that throughout this defense today with guys making big plays, guys being faced with adversity. Like Obo Okoronkwo said, he tipped that ball the play before there was a face mask they didn't call. So it just made him more motivated to go out there and make a play. A guy like Jordan Elliott, who's on the field goal block unit, And multiple of his teammates said normally on that unit, guys don't rush hard, but Jordan rushes as hard as he does as if he was pass rushing in those situations. And you saw it play out today with him blocking another Justin Tucker kick. He has 2 career blocks in his NFL career, both of them against maybe like the greatest kicker of all time, arguably.
Yeah, is Jordan Elliott the Justin Tucker stopper? Who knew? Listen, there is so much to get into in this game, more than we can get into in a 5-minute video. So head over to cleveland.com/Browns. Check out full coverage of the Browns' enormous win here in Baltimore over the Ravens.